There are so many beautiful qualities of Saint Ignatius that it is not easy to pick out a few of them. But for our reflection this year, for this feast, I have picked out 3. And the first of these qualities is what we heard Jesus advise in the gospel text of today, which is known as the quality of discernment. Discernment is a big word, but in simple language it means making a choice after reflection. So discernment means being reflective but not being impulsive. Discernment is the opposite of impulsiveness. Who is an impulsive person? An impulsive person is someone who does not think before they speak or they act. And if a person is impulsive and does not think before they speak or act, there is always regret. They always feel bad. They always feel sad. I should not have said that. I should not have done that. Why did I say this? Why did I do it? But a discerning person will not be impulsive, and that is why discernment is the opposite of impulsiveness. Discernment means to take time to think, to take time to reflect, to take time to pray, and only after that to speak or to act. Someone might say to me, but Father, every time somebody asks me a question, do you mean to say that I must think, I must reflect, I must pray, and then I must answer? If it is the examination, the bell will ring already before I can do that. So that's why discernment is not something which is done time after time. Discernment is the way of life. So my way of proceeding is to think before I speak, is to think before I act. So if I am a discerning person within, then it will not take time for me. It will not take hours for me. If I'm a discerning person, I will respond rather than react. An impulsive person reacts. A discerning person responds. And so, my dear children, my dear teachers, one message which we must take from being discerning is, I will be a responder, not a reactor. The second point is that Ignatius realized that we are living in a changing world. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus said very beautifully, you cannot step into the same river twice, because you are not the same and the river is not the same. I repeat, you cannot step into the same river twice, because you are not the same and the river is not the same. So change is the only constant. The only one who does not change is God. God is constant, but change is also constant. And because Ignatius knew that, he coined this term greater. Greater in English is the comparative degree. Those teachers who teach English will say, yes, adjectives have 3 degrees: positive, comparative, and superlative. And the comparative degree is in between. And someone might ask, why not greatest? Why not best? Why not smartest? Why not fastest? Why not highest? Why not swiftest? Why not the superlative? Why the comparative? Because you can be greater than the greatest. You can be faster than the fastest. You can jump higher than the highest. You can be more than the most. And if you think in terms of the comparative degree, then you are constantly open to change. Supposing I say, I am the smartest in the class. I don't need to be smarter. You notice you have reached the end. You will not improve. You don't have any motivation for improvement. But you say, no, I am smart, but I want to be smarter. I am fast, I want to be faster. I can jump high, but I want to jump higher. Many years ago, it was thought that the 4-minute mile could never be broken. That athletes were running the mile, which is 1,600 kilometers. They were running it in 4 minutes and over. No one had run the mile before 4 minutes or within 4 minutes or lower than 4 minutes. And then a man came on the scene named Roger Bannister. And Roger Bannister said, no, I'm going to make every attempt to break the 4-minute barrier. And he did that. He did that. He ran the mile first in 3:59. And from that time onwards, the record is coming lower and lower and lower. And today people are running the mile in 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Why? Because they said, we can run faster. If they had said, we had run the fastest, there is no more faster to go, then we would have been complacent. आपण म्हणतो मराठीमध्ये चलता है, चालतं कोणाचं बापाचं काय, तसं म्हणता कामा नये. कारण आपल्या शब्दकोशामध्ये चलता है असा शब्द नको आहे. We must not have this word chalta hai, because the good becomes better, the better becomes better still, and the better still becomes still better, and the still better becomes better still, and the better still becomes still better. You see, so there is no end. So the margus means I am not going to be complacent. I am not going to be satisfied with what is. There is always something more. I can be more helpful. I can be more serviceable. I can be more reaching out. I can be more generous. This is where the margus comes into play. This is where the greater comes into play. And finally, my dear children, my dear teachers, this beautiful phrase was coined much after Ignatius, but Ignatius already had it in his mind, but it was coined by a very, very famous Jesuit named Pedro Arrupe, and that phrase is men and women for others. I said to you in the introduction, we are not known as the Ignatians. We are not named after Saint Ignatius, but we are named after Jesus. Because Ignatius did not want to focus on himself. He wanted to focus on others through Jesus. And that already is indicative in the name of the congregation. Society, not of Ignatius, but Society of Jesus. And in that, we become men and women for others. You know, as priests, we do not marry. And the reason why we do not marry is not because marriage is bad. Marriage is a wonderful thing. But we do not marry because we want to be available for the whole world. The whole world is my brother. The whole world is my sister. The whole world is my child. I don't have a specific wife. I don't have a specific children, but any child is my child. Any woman is my sister, my daughter. Any man is my brother, my son. That is the meaning of being men and women for others. And so, my dear children, on this feast day, we don't simply celebrate externally. We also ask for the grace that, like Ignatius, we too may be discerning men and women. We might be responders and not reactors. We will avoid reacting or being impulsive. When we think of ourselves, then we need to understand that this is the way, and it must be a regular way of proceeding. We will be concerned not just about myself and about my reaching the height, but I know I can reach and be more, and My concern is not selfishness, not self-centeredness, but other-centeredness. Amen.